Well, I'm standing up for a change, which is a refreshing change to do the news. I think maybe you can talk better when you stand up. Standing up so I won't be looking up at my next guest, although I do look up at him. He's a very fine gentleman and quite an interesting career that he has to share with us today. Mike Chamberlin is with us today, and Mike, welcome to Channel 6.
Well, thank you, Rob. I feel odd. I feel like you should sit, but if you're okay, I'm okay.
It works. Mike is one of those gentlemen, like a lot of you folks, ladies and gentlemen here in the community, has had a successful career, but you're now doing something that you want to do when you're finished with your main career. In your case, it was this kind of a job, TV, broadcasting.
My whole life was spent in a studio, you know. But I think as you come into the retirement years, you have to reinvent yourself or go crazy, you know, or make your wife crazy. So I was a musician all my life. I grew up in San Clemente.
Right. Well, you played music in high school?
I did.
In fact, you actually had a record, right?
I did. We were a pretty forward-thinking rock and roll band in the 60s, and signed by a record company, and that was going to be my life, and I dropped out of Orange Coast College to be a musician. 6 months later, I got a brown envelope in the mail, "Dear Mr. Chamberlain, you've been drafted into the U.S. Army." Ended up in Vietnam, came back and decided to go into broadcasting.
Right. Growing up locally, you participated, like a lot of people do, in swimming and surfing and sailing. As part of your career, you did water sports for ESPN, so people probably saw or heard you.
I did. For 10 years, I was their water expert. I grew up surfing in San Clemente and probably knew more about professional surfers as most sportscasters know about baseball players.
Right,
so
right.
I was a natural fit, and I traveled the world, literally would leave on a Friday for some exotic island and do a windsurfing event or a jet skiing event or a surfing event, and literally traveled the world covering water sports.
Like a lot of people in the biz, as we say, you ended up moving around the country a lot, but you ended up, I believe, in Arizona was the station you spent the most time.
It was probably the best 20 years. The last 20 years of my life were in Phoenix, Arizona. It was a family-owned station. It had a worldwide reputation. Everybody said if you can ever work at this station, work there. And they had a sports opening, and I had my agent call them, and we pursued it, and it turned out to be the 20 best years of my career. It was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
So like a lot of our viewers, you've now moved into the retirement years, and you're able to kind of plan your own agenda. You don't have to get up in the morning and read the wire copy and read the newspaper and look at all the sports stats and be ready to go on the air live with an update. You're not going to do what you want, and that's your music that you love.
It is. You know, I retired about 2 years ago, and you know, for 40 years I wore a tie every day. And it was my uniform, like you, I'm sure. And I had to go to a wedding recently, and I put a tie on it, and I couldn't remember how to tie the doggone tie, you know. But so if that's my biggest problem, life is good. So
style of music, you did rock and roll back in the 60s in high school. Have you kind of mellowed your style a little bit?
I do. You know, I do a show that's really based towards seniors, or what we now call active adults.
Yes.
And
because we're there now.
Well, we are. So we are part of that active
seniors.
adult society, and the show is built for them. The show's called Music Through the Decades. It starts in the 1920s and it ends at 1960s because that's when music stopped, in my opinion.
The day the music died.
Well, it could be. You know, I mean, we had Michael Jackson and Madonna afterwards, but is that really? I don't know. I don't want to get into to all that. And then they have what we have today. And you can see how it's just slowly going downhill all the way. We grew up at a wonderful time, Rob. Did we not? We grew up at the best possible time.
The happy days.
The happy days, but we also got, because of our parents, we got the tail end. We got Sinatra and Bennett and Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald and George Gershwin, Irving Berlin, Cole Porter. I mean, we grew up at the absolute perfect time, at least for music.
And then that evolution of country came in, rockabilly came in, R&B came in, and all of those kind of melded together. And I know the local stations here in California, which unfortunately are pretty much all news stations now, or talk radio. I remember, you know, KFWB and KRLA and all of those back in the day. And we lived on that music in the British invasion and all that.
The 60s, sure.
Well, look, instead of talking a lot about music, would you honor us with a song?
Well, I'd love to. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll kind of do a blend of something I do in my show. And I do a lot of sing-alongs. I love it when the audience can participate. So this is kind of I'll kind of stop halfway through and maybe you'll understand. If you know it, feel free to sing along. Or maybe not.
Maybe not.
Well, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged and funny, but we'll travel alone, sing a song, side by side. So what I tell them, and I get them to sing it with me, but we've gotten older, and we have to update the song. The lyrics have to come to date. So these are the new lyrics to this wonderful old song, okay? We got married last Friday. There was my bride beside me, but our friends are all gone. We stood there alone, side by side. We were happily wed when she got ready for bed. Then her teeth and her hair she placed on a chair, side by side. One glass eye so tiny, one hearing aid so small. Then she took off her left leg and placed it there by the wall. I stood there broken-hearted. Most of my girl had departed, so I slept on the chair. There was more of her there, side by side, side by.
Very nice, very clever indeed. Now, you are available for performances.
I am, and again, I'm tailor-made for that active adult community. I really am. The show's called Music Through the Decades. I'm available. Well, I have a really kind of an interesting website. After you heard me talk today, the website is called singingtvguy.com. Singingtvguy.com, and you can find all my information there and all that stuff.
You also have you recorded back in the '60s, but you've recorded recently as well, and you have a Christmas album, I understand.
I do. I really, I've written a lot of Christmas music, and I love that time of year. It's my favorite time of year. And so I have a Christmas CD, and it's got some traditional and some original stuff and some great instrumentals. I spent 10 years of my life putting the Christmas CD together. So,
wow.
And I'll tell you the truth, this is the God's truth. I had 47 performances in 24 days last December. I was doing 3 a day sometimes.
Wow,
so,
wow.
So I know.
I guess what that says, if you want Mike for your Christmas party, you better contact him now.
That would be a really good idea.
You know, you were in Phoenix, but actually you're local now, right? Back here in Southern California?
I am. Back in Orange County, lived down in San Clemente.
Great.
Where I was in the first graduating class at San Clemente High School.
A local guy. That's great. That's really super.
The prodigal son returns home.
That's great. That's great.
It's perfect.
We appreciate you coming by today. Congratulations on your shifting into this new and old career back again.
Reinventing myself.
We're going to go to a break, but would you take us out with a little song, Mike?
Sure.
Thank you.
Here's one that there's only 3 songs we all know the words to, and this is one of them. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. I hung my head and cried. Everybody at home. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Don't take my sunshine away. First verse again. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in